Hello, welcome to the tutorial on how to implement managerial stroke reporting relationships in Blazor using RADZEN. Now, I head over to SQL Server where I'm going to create a new database. I'm going to call it EmployeeID. Let me make the owner SA. I click OK. Then I'm going to right click on EmployeeID. Then I'm going to say new query. I'm going to paste the query to create a new department here. So I click execute. So this creates a table called departments. It has two columns: department ID, which is integer, and the numbers in department ID will be sequentially numbered, and it's a primary key column. And it creates another column called department name, whose data type is end-50, and is a column that does not allow null and will contain unique values. So if you go to Object Explorer, we expand employees database, you expand the tables, and then you have this departments table that has just been created for you, and you can see the keys as well. They've been created for you. So now that we have created our departments table, we want to insert 50 departments into the departments table. So I wipe out the earlier query and I replace it with the query to insert 50 departments. So you have insert into departments, department name, values. Then these are the values: human resources, information technology, and so on and so forth. So then I click execute. After executing the query, I get 48 rows affected. So let me go in and say select top 100 rows. So these are the departments that have been inserted. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a query. I'm going to create a gender table using this query. I'm going to insert male and female into gender table. Now I'm going to create employees table. So these are the columns that are going to be in employees table. So I'm going to insert some fictitious employees into the employees table. Insert into employees first name, middle name, last name, manager ID, employee photo, department ID. So I have insert into these values. Now I'm going to test the query. So we have 10 rows inserted into employees table. So for tables, I click refresh, and here I have the 3 tables. Now the next thing I want to do is to create relationships between the 3 tables. So I'm going to employ database diagram. I will say install database diagram support. Click yes here. New database diagram. So I'm going to add the 3 tables. Then I click close. I'm going to drag from department ID in departments table. I drop on department ID in employees table. I click OK. I click OK. Then I also drag from gender ID in genders table. Oh, before I do that, cancel. So for now, I click save. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to insert a column here. Gender ID. I'll right click on gender ID column. Go to properties. The data type for gender ID will be int. And for now, it's going to allow no. Then I right click on my database diagram. I click save diagram 0. Then I go to employees record. I'm going to say edit top 200 rows. You can see gender ID is null. So let's look at what we have in gender table. We have 2 for female, 1 for male. So I come here. John gender ID is 1. Jane gender ID is 2. Robert gender ID is 1. Emily gender ID is 2. William gender ID is 1. Alice gender ID is 2. Daniel gender ID is 1. Olivia gender ID is 2. David gender ID is 1. And Sophia gender ID is 2. Okay. Then I can go back to the database diagram, and I'm going to update gender ID here. I'm going to say I do not want it to allow null. So I right click on the database diagram and say save diagram 0. Click yes. Then One more thing we need to do. Okay, I still need to do relationship between genders and employees table. So I drag gender ID from genders table. I drop it on gender ID in employees table. I click OK. I click OK. Once again, I save diagram 0. Then I want to do a relationship between I want to do a relationship on employees table to implement the reporting line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag from employee ID. I drop it on manager ID. So primary keys table is employees. Primary key is employee ID. Foreign key table is also employees. Foreign key column is manager ID. I click OK. I click OK. Once again, I right click and say save diagram 0. So now I'm going to open RADZEN Blazor. So I'm going to say new application. I'm going to choose Blazor server application. I click next. Let's call it the name of our app will be employees app. Let me use the default template. So I'm going to create the app directly on my C drive. See employees. In a folder called employees app. And I click finish. So now the app is ready. So I click on data. I'm choosing MS SQL. Click next. I go back to Object Explorer to copy the server name. Authentication type SQL login, username SA, password. Database, so employees DB. Then I click next. Using optimistic concurrency, optimistic concurrency. I like using ConData as my data connection. Then click next. Generate pages for CRUD. I want to use data grid with form. Next, export to Excel, such as you type. I want paging and sorting and filtering of lookup data. date format, I want to be dd slash payment slash yy, then I click finish. So application is ready. Let's run it for the first time. I click run. So this is our app running for the first time. So we have departments, so this departments table. So to edit a department, I just double click here. To add a new department, I click add. Department name is required. We have employees table. This is what we have. To add a new employee, this if you want to choose department, you can search. You want to search for all departments that starts with int. Now there is an issue I need to solve here. I want to change this employee 1 to manager. So how do I do that? I'll stop the app. I'll go to pages. I'll go to employees.razor. I'll go to source. So the RADZEN label text for employee 1, I'm going to change to manager. The choose text, I'm going to change the choose text to choose manager. For the employee data grid, I just want to see just first name, and last name. I will change the title of the employee ID column to just ID. Then I click File, Save Up. Then I click Run again. So I click on Employees again. So here is what I have. I'll still stop the app. And I'm going to manually make employee ID column width to be 50 pixels. So I go to File, I click Save Up, then I run the app again. Employees again, I click on it. So employees again, this is what we have. I go back to RADZEN, I stop the app, and I'm going to make the width of first name column. I'm going to make it 100 pixels. I'm going to make the width of last name column 100 pixels. Do File, Save Up, and I click Run again. So I'll click on Employees, yes, presentation is better now. So let me add a new employee. I click Save, validations kick in. So I want to create a new employee called John Bosco. Employee photo, for now, blah blah blah. Department, data analytics, gender, male, manager. For now, let me just choose Jane. But there is an issue with the managers. Only their first names are displayed. Then when I click save, the page is not refreshed. But now if I click, if I force a refresh here, and I'm searching for both school, I get this. So let's correct some errors. So I'm going to stop the app. I'm going to open the app in Visual Studio. This is the app folder. I'll right click on Employees App Solution File. Then I'm going to say open with Microsoft Visual Studio 2022. While that is happening, I'm going to close RADZEN Blazor Studio. I'm also going to close SQL Server for now. So Visual Studio is still opening the app. So I'm in Solution Explorer. I'm going to Pages folder, and first thing first, I want to rename the employees component. So I right click on the employees component. I'm going to choose rename. I'm going to rename the component as company employees, and I click site. Then I go to the shared folder. I double click on main layout.razor file. I also double click on, then I also go back to Pages. I double click on employees, company employees.razor. I'm going to change the route to company-employees. Then I go back to main layout.blazor. I will change the path for employees to company-employees. Then I will save. So we'll continue the tutorial in the next lesson. Thank you for watching.